Jen Wakawal of WorkWondersCoaching.com, and I'm really excited to kick off the first season of Wonder Worker TV, where I'm interviewing multi-talented, multi-passionate people who are changing their lives and the lives of people around them. And I'm really excited to be interviewing Shannon Mattern of WP-BFF, and not only is she a business owner, she's just an online marketing and WordPress expert in general. So her day job is Deputy Executive Officer of Communications and Professional Services for the Ohio Nurses Association. And of course, she's the founder and owner of WordPress BFF. So you can visit her site at WP-BFF.com. And she's also the reason I have a website at all. So I'm really excited to have her here. I'm a big fan. So welcome, Shannon. Thank you for being here and talking with us about your work and what it means for you.
Thank you so much for having me. You were my very first subscriber, so I will always remember you.
Excellent. Interviews for life.
Yes.
Excellent. So I'm excited to talk to you because I think, so you and I sort of connected about 9 months ago, and we were both working full time, watching a lot of Real Housewives, which we talked about and bonded over, and had an idea really more than a business. We really wanted to start a business. So I know, because I've been in touch with you and reading your blogs and newsletters, that you've had like a really transformative 9 months or year, right? So for me, I'd love to just hear a little bit. I want to hear all about the transformation, but I'm really curious about sort of that period before you started implementing change and what life was like for you and what was kind of going through your mind before you started taking all of this massive action in so many areas of your life.
Sure. Well, I think I'm probably I was probably a lot like the normal person that just, works the 9 to 5. You just kind of are going through the motions. You have a good job with a good paycheck. You're paying the bills, you're making ends meet, and you're sitting around watching Real Housewives or doing whatever it is you do, kind of feeling like it's Groundhog Day every day. Feeling like, gosh, there must be something more, but I don't know what it is, and I feel guilty for feeling like this isn't enough. So that's kind of what my life was like, before I started getting the inkling that maybe I was meant to do something different, or there was something more out there for me.
So what was some of the first actions you decided to take? You probably didn't wake up one day and say, I'm starting a business. What were some of the first steps you took to explore or to get started?
Sure. Well, one of the scariest things for me, I think, was just to put myself out there to say, oh, I'm a web designer, because I'd been doing it for my job for so long, very skilled at it, had started to do a little consulting work on the side for vendors that I had met through my job at the Ohio Nurses Association, because they were like, hey, you did your website there. We have a couple other clients that, we want to move into WordPress, but we don't know how. Can you help us out? So that was kind of like through my job. So that kind of sparked something in me like, okay, I could really like take this outside of what I'm doing. So then shortly after that, I had a conversation with a girl I worked out with, and she said, so what do you do for a living? And I was like, gosh, I have a choice here. I can say I work for the Ohio Nurses Association, or I can say I'm a web designer. And I said, I'm a web designer, and that kind of sparked a conversation where her company needed some things done, and it kind of just, I became more confident in saying that that's what I did, even though that wasn't the title on my business card at my job. So that's kind of where that little transition started to occur.
Awesome. So you sort of spoke it into existence, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Never thought of it that way before, but yeah, I did.
I love that. It's hard for people to make that leap. I talk to people day in and day out with years of experience in a field, but really claiming that expertise,
right?
So challenging for people.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. I love that story. So what were some of the biggest changes in how you've been spending your time since your business has evolved?
I don't spend time watching Real Housewives anymore. I'm sad to say that I have not been keeping up with what all the drama that's going on there. I wake up earlier to, check emails, and, I do a lot of my business on Facebook. So when I say to be on Facebook in the morning, I'm not just like hanging out. It's to help people and make connections. So I get up early to make sure I kind of get a jump on the day with WordPress BFF before I then drive to work. And then I'll spend my lunch hour, instead of reading BuzzFeed and CNN and local news, I'll spend that working. And then when I get home, usually most nights, I'll probably spend 2 to 3 hours, doing whatever it is I need to do. And then all day on the weekends, I don't sleep in anymore. I'll work until about 2 or 3 o'clock, and then I'll just go do whatever with my friends, or, Saturdays and Sundays, I won't work all day, but I will put some time in. So, I mean, I've eked out almost a full-time job out of my former sedentary television watching, kind of just chill lifestyle before.
It's funny because as I was thinking about like sharing with the audience that how we met and how we connected, I was like, we can talk about Real Housewives in a really long time. But that's good, because that really speaks to the way in which you've changed your life, right? So instead of just coming home and being sedentary, you've created something.
Exactly. Yep.
So why don't you just tell us a little bit about WP-BFF? I'm obviously familiar with it because I went through your 5-day program. So why don't you just say a little bit about what it is and sort of what you spend your time doing?
Right. So the whole site came about because I decided that while I love WordPress and everything there is about it, I can't take your vision and translate that into a website. I'm not a graphic designer, but I know everything there is to know about WordPress inside and out. So I decided, what if I could teach people how to do this for themselves? What if I could empower them to be able to turn their vision into a reality? Because everything I learned, I know it's completely learnable for people. You don't have to learn code to be a web designer. You don't have to learn complicated concepts. You just need someone to like take you by the hand and walk you through all the steps. And that's why I decided to do this, because it takes me 40 hours to go through probably like all the steps from like initial talking to a client to delivery in a website. I can't help that many people when it takes me 40 hours to do it. So if I can clone myself by creating a 5-day series of videos that show you everything step by step, I can help so many more people than if I were doing it for you. So that's where WordPress BFF kind of came about, where I want to, be that person that you can always count on to get your answers, help you figure it out, and show you the way. So
I think
that's the deal with that.
I mean, it's so great because you're really, it's like you really are giving people the tools to do so much more on their own. And it's, it's a really expensive task to outsource, right? So if you wanted someone to build a website for you, you're talking thousands of dollars.
Right.
But it's also made me like super bold, and like now I feel like I'm a WordPress expert. So I'm like,
you are, after going through that. You probably don't know as much more than it, about it than I do. I mean, I'm really sharing like everything I know when people come through.
It's definitely given me like an overinflated sense of ability, but I've downloaded plugins without like thinking twice about it, and I've played with code with YouTube tutorials. So it's really because I stayed away from WordPress because I was like, I'm not going to be able to like manage a website like this. So I will speak to the efficacy of your tutorials.
I'm so happy to hear that you feel confident enough to go into the code, because I mean, you don't have to do that, but just the fact that now everything is doable, everything's possible, and you have me to say, I think I broke something.
Exactly. That's how I keep everything.
So yeah, that's great. I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people feel like they have to know everything before they get started on a venture like this. Did you feel like you knew everything? Were there mistakes that you made along the way? Were there fears that you had about, running a business?
I'm sure I'm still making mistakes right now. I'm sure I'm going to make lots of mistakes. I have a tendency to be perfectionist and want to have everything perfect. I'm sure I've made a lot of mistakes. I think back and I'm like, gosh, I wish I could have done that differently. Um, to think of a specific one that I've made, I don't really feel like, gosh, I'm trying to think. I don't really feel like any of the things I've done have been like big failures. I'm like, gosh, I wasted money on this course when I didn't really need it, and that wasn't the real problem that I was trying to solve. Um, I think investing, okay, investing in courses when I really should have been investing in a coach. And I'm not just saying this because you're a coach, because you think your problem's one thing, and so you invest in a course to help you solve that problem, and you determine that that's not even really your problem.
Yeah.
And that's where the value in investing in a coach comes in, because that person will help you identify really what the issues are and where you need to focus, instead of thinking, gosh, I'm spreading myself so thin on social media. If I just learned to automate Facebook ads, then I wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. And that's not the real issue.
Right.
So I think that that's kind of probably the thing that I'm learning now after 9 months. It's like, okay, the problems I think I have aren't the problems I really have.
That's true. And it's funny you say that too, because I am a coach and I receive a lot of peer coaching. So and I'm in classes, so I'm surrounded by it, but I actually just hired my first business coach.
Right.
And I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? I was spending money in all these places, but not to have anyone actually do work with me and for me. So to have someone who spends that kind of attention one-on-one is so different than like, okay, I'm just going to buy this ebook or this workbook or this course and try and figure it out on my own.
Right. Because you're still you with your own thoughts and your own perceptions. When you're working through a self-paced course, you get no feedback or reflection on, do you really need to be doing this? Let's dig a little bit deeper.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I like the idea that you don't have too many failures that like actually resonate enough to share, because I think that's kind of the nature of failures, is they're actually forget, like you have a strategy, and that is to keep moving, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like everything there is to do with WordPress in general is trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to the answer the first time. I break a lot of stuff just trying to, make a website. I feel like my business is the same thing. So I don't get too hung up on things that don't work. I just move fast on to the next, and just try to kind of go back and say, let's not try that again. Remember the last time you tried that didn't work. Quit thinking it's going to work.
Move on.
Yeah.
Definitely. So what do you think are your most valuable strengths? Not necessarily skills, but strengths that sort of help you manage your time, set priorities, build a business while working full time. What do you rely on to sort of get you through that schedule?
I'm honestly not great at it. So, I'm not great at setting boundaries. It's something that I have to work on constantly. I don't, I try to make a to-do list every day, but what I found is I'm putting all the things that don't move my business forward first, because they feel so pressing to me.
Hmm.
And then, I don't leave enough time for the things that I need to do to move my business forward. So I probably, I know I need some more help in the area of tools that, in my mind, I have this schedule of an hour here, but I don't actually stick to it all the time. So I think that would be something that would be extremely helpful. Like you showed on one of your Facebook posts, like this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday planner, which is awesome. And I fill it out, and then that's all that happens. And then I fly by the seat of my pants for the rest of the week. So I know what I need to do. It's a matter of actually doing it. And that's what I'm not, I know what I need to be doing.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think that's probably progress.
But that's the strength. I know what I need to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is a strength, right? Because there's so much, I think, when you work full time and own a business that you can focus your time on.
Right.
So the trick is to like make yourself focus on things that really impact your business.
Right.
Like help your clients, help you make money and that sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's the best part about working full time and having a business? I know you did a Periscope recently about how you have come to see your day job as something that really supports your business, and they're sort of like symbiotic in that sense. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that now.
It didn't seem that way for a long time. For a long time, it felt like I needed to keep my side business separate, like a little secret job affair that I was having over on the side. I didn't want people to find out. I thought that my employer would be mad. I thought my coworkers would think I wasn't like fully on board. And it wasn't until I confessed my affair to my boss that she was really the one that encouraged me to think of ways that it could be a symbiotic relationship. So what a relief. I mean, seriously, when that happened, what a relief. Because then I didn't feel like I had to choose between one or the other. And that negative energy that comes from having like a secret like that is just not good for either business. So I think I'm fortunate to be in that position where I have a supportive boss, but I encourage anybody that is kind of trying to balance both things, if it makes sense for the situation that you're in, to you yourself think of ways that you can make it a win-win. And not, not have someone else give you permission for it to be a win-win. Because if I could have come up with that on my own, I would have saved myself months of stress and anxiety and, shut my door because I have to take this phone call and pretend, it's like all of that could have been avoided. So if I would have just thought to myself, how can I, share all these great new things that I've been learning about building a business to help my company grow.
So how did it come up with your boss? Did you initiate that conversation?
I did. I told her, I told her that I had been really stressed out and, basically here's why. And I just, I'm trying to do this whole business on the side. I'm trying to balance everything. And I think it came up in in my annual review, actually. And she's actually new to our company. So we were still having that get to know you kind of thing going on. So it was more of an opportunity that presented itself than me kind of deciding, okay, now I'm going to tell you what's going on. Yeah.
And part of just keeping a secret like that is it only causes you stress, right? Like, it's not like your employer's like, I wonder what Shannon's doing when she goes home every night.
Exactly. They don't care. Like, I thought they would care more than they cared. Like, so yeah.
So shifting away from work, with all that you've got going on, like, how do you sort of balance? I know you're married and you've got a social life. So how have you communicated, your priorities in your important relationships in your life?
That's something that I struggle with too, honestly. Like, I have a tendency to just stop paying attention to people and start looking at Facebook on my phone. It's something that I struggle with. The thing that I love is that we go camping a lot, and I am cut off from, like, we're going camping this weekend. There's no internet there. I have one bar of cell phone service. I'm completely forced to be present. So doing things like that is helpful. That's one of those boundaries things that I really need to, put in place, where I am putting emphasis on those important relationships and not putting half of my attention there and half of my attention somewhere else, because that's going to backfire someday. It really is. And I know all of my friends and my husband and everybody's really supportive of me, but they also get really annoyed when I'm half paying attention to them.
When you write in your blog and newsletter about stories with your husband, it all sounds really familiar to me.
I don't know what I agree to half the time.
Just nod your head and say it.
Yep. And then I'm like, I don't remember talking about that. I mean, this is all on me.
Definitely. But I think, going camping is that's a great solution, because it doesn't, a lot of times, like, we try to what we do in coaching, right, is we don't want people to rely on their willpower because there's a million reasons why they're not reliable. So we try to create structures for people. So like a structure for you is really just like being cut off and like having that boundary drawn for you.
For sure, definitely. Or like leaving my laptop at home because there's a lot I just can't do on my phone.
Yep.
So those are great things that when I accidentally forget my laptop, it's awesome.
Very cool. So I have some rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So you can just respond with, you know, whatever kind of comes to mind first.
Okay, sounds great.
All right. So what was the first thing you remember wanting to be when you were a kid and you thought what you'd be do for a job?
A Muppet.
A Muppet?
And then a chef, but a Muppet, yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. I'm gonna have to think about that. Have you given that any thought?
Kind of crazy, right?
Like a puppeteer or a Muppet?
Oh, like the actual Muppet.
Wow. A lot of creative energy over there, right? That must be what that means. That's so funny. Okay, I know we're both too busy, but for old time's sake, what was your favorite Real Housewife franchise?
Oh, the OC.
Oh, original.
The original OC. Yep.
Can't go wrong. I still read the recaps on people.
Yeah, I'll catch them. I'll watch it if I can catch it.
So what's your favorite get psyched jam? Like when you go to the gym or when you need to change your mood?
Oh, I don't know if I have one.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't listen to a lot of music.
Mm. Do you work out to music?
No, I work out to podcasts.
Oh. How is that? Does that work?
It does, because I don't like to run fast, so I don't need anything upbeat. I don't like to work out that much, so I feel like I'm getting something out of it when I listen.
I love that. I don't like to run fast. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like the opposite of a get psyched jam. It's like, I'm here. What do you want from me? Do you have a favorite productivity app or strategy?
My favorite app is any.do. It's a to-do list app, but my favorite part about it is like you swipe to cross things off, and then when you're done, you shake your phone and it goes awesome or like way to go. It like cheers you on as you cross stuff off your list. So I love that.
That's awesome. That's very important.
Yeah.
If you were to win the lottery tomorrow, what would be the first thing you'd buy?
Ooh, a big house on the beach in like North Carolina or something like that.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is the advice that you would give your 22-year-old self about work and career?
Have more confidence. I think that's it. Have more confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to speak your mind. Don't be afraid to get fired. Have more confidence.
I love that. Don't be afraid to get fired.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shannon, for joining me and for sharing your work with other Work Wonder community members. If we wanted to find you on social media, where could we find you?
I'm on Twitter at Shannon Mattern, Instagram at WordPress-BFF. It's like WRDPRSS BFF. Facebook, WordPress-BFF. And I think that's pretty much, I have other ones, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're going to link to things below. For any Wonder Workers out there who are thinking of their business needs a website, we're going to send you directly to WP-BFF.com.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you.